Hey guys, it's a pregame show. It's a weird day. I don't know why every day this week we're starting at 7:30 instead of 7 p.m., but we're starting at 7:30 today, even with 9 games on. Very strange. Anyway, that's where we are. Reminder, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, first game, so you've got to get your lineup set early. 9 games on today. I am currently managing the stuff over at Basketball Monster, so if there's times I have to take like a 30-second break to go and update news, I will do that because you'll see me make the adjustments on the lineups live as we're going. First question here, Caesar Urquiza. Do I drop Max Strus and grab Reed? Like, absolutely. 100%. I don't know why you would have waited for that. Absolutely, you do that. Clear as day. Easiest move you'll ever make. We've got dribble game to do. We've got lineups to look at. We've got news to report on as it comes through. Let's go quickly sneak a dribble game in before we get into the more nuts and bolts stuff of the fantasy landscape for today. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you here. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to the show, hit subscribe. We're trying to hit 60K before the All-Star break, so we're almost there. Evan Mobley, Kevin Garnett. That's Kevin Love, surely? Oh, hang on. Did Kevin Love play with Garnett in Minnesota? He might have? No, he wouldn't have, no. So who played with Garnett? So it's Garnett in Boston or Brooklyn? And who's on this team? Jesus. Rubio played with Garnett? No. Garnett? No. Maybe. No. Rubio, Minnesota again, but not Levert. That's who it is. It's not Levert. What? Levert didn't play with Garnett in Brooklyn. So Levert, Brooklyn. Oh, no, he didn't. Of course he didn't. He was traded there later. Oh, no, he didn't. He was drafted there. Lopez? Okay. Who was the one? Rajon Rondo. Ugh. Forgot that he played with the Cavs. I eliminated that out of my mind. All right, let's look at where the lineups sit. Let's go back to see if there's any more news. The Cavs starting lineup has come through. So I'm just going to confirm that. We're going with Garland, Levert, Okoro, Mobley, and Allen. So Levert does get the start with Donovan Mitchell out. Just excuse me while I update this here. How is everybody? You guys all good? Let's write this in. All right, so they're going with the same lineup, but it's Levert replacing old mate Mitchell. So let's update that. We don't need to update it. It's already on the screen, but let's confirm it. So that lineup is done. Let's look at injuries. Finney-Smith is back and starting. Josh Green is back, not starting though. Hardaway's out. Beal is back and starting, so Kispert's off the bench. Levert's starting. Donovan Mitchell's out. What else are we looking at? Kyle Lowry's back. Caleb Martin's playing. Ingram and Jones are out. Hayward is still doubtful. Of course he is. Kevin Porter's out. Paul George is out. Luke Kennard is out. Kawhi Leonard is out. Zubats is questionable. Lowry Markkanen's back. Jamal Murray's probable. Anthony Edwards is questionable. Gobert is out. No shock there. Torian Prince is still questionable. Naz Reid is starting. Towns is out. LeBron is questionable. Lonnie Walker is out. Reeves is out. Sabonis is now questionable as well with an illness. So that's where we are with that. All right. How is everybody? We good in here? I'm just going to go into the chat and say hi to everyone. Do I have a luxury stash tier list? I don't, Galen. I don't really think it's... Anyway, let's go off the top of my head. It's Isaiah Jackson, number 1. It's Mark Williams, number 2. And then after that, it's really hard. Look, predicting trades and then predicting the winners from trades and predicting who comes back in a trade is really risky business. It's tough to do. So I wouldn't think that there's many more guys. Look, the clear ones there are 2 centers in Charlotte behind Plumlee. So if he gets traded, they won't bring another center back to start ahead of him, I would think. And the same in Indiana. If Turner is traded, they're not bringing another center back, I would guess, to start ahead of the other 2 guys they got there. So that's why I look at Jackson and Williams. But any other spot, so much like maybe Zach Collins comes in third, because I think that he probably would get the opportunity to start if Poeltl is traded. But the expectation of those guys is they're not going to get dealt. That's my guess. Knicks are starting Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Randall, Robinson. Confirmed with that one. That's all as expected. Pick up Chris Paul from Michael Porter. What the hell league are you in? Both of those guys are must-roster players, but Chris Paul is miles better than Michael Porter Jr. Wow, it's a weird league. Am I a fan of the Oz Open? I don't watch tons of it, but I'm going on Sunday. I'm going on Sunday to the Australian Open. And last time I went was 2020. Yeah, 2020 was the last time I went. And then before that, it was like 10 years prior. But I'm going again this year. Nas, 11K draft stars. Yeah, I think he's got real good value there. If I record the recaps before the last game, how do I watch the last game? Well, I can't watch every second of every game it's impossible. Because even the early games, I can't watch them all. It's impossible to watch them. So what I have 2 screens here. So I can have the last game going on that screen, but I also have feeds of news coming through of things that are happening. Like, so even if I miss bits of the last game, I can't watch all 48 minutes of every game anyway. And otherwise, if I did that, then the show wouldn't come out for another 2 hours after the final game finishes. So that's what I do. I have to sacrifice missing probably like a quarter of that last game, maybe a half of that last game to record things. Nadal with the first round exit. Yeah, I know. Nadal, my mate from the hotel in Paris, when he stepped in front of me and took the toaster at the hotel buffet when I was in Paris earlier this year. He's a bread toasting legend, Rafael Nadal, loses, I actually like Rafa, so annoying that he's out. What's my prediction for game of the night? Let's bring it up. Or let me ever think about it. Actually, here we go. Mavs. Let me just get the Mavs starters. Finney-Smith, Wood, Powell, Dinwiddie, Doncic. So they're going to Wood at power forward again. So Bullock not starting. Dwight Powell starting. Interesting. And DFS at the 3. All right, there we go. So Reggie Bullock comes off the bench. So there's a little bit of a change in how I thought they would go. Just let me update this. The Hawks still starting Okongwu over Capella. It's Young, Murray, Hunter, Collins, Okongwu. So that's all confirmed. So that's the first 4 games lineups confirmed there. So I'm just trying to work out what we're doing here. Do I think LeBron plays today? Yes, I do. Who's my favorite Australian basketball player? I don't really ever look at things like who's my favorite from this country. Like, if you want to talk about contributions to the national team, it's Paddy Mills, pretty clearly. But I don't go, man, I really love this guy because he's Australian. I don't feel that way. Eric Quinter, or Quinter, is it? Do you think Jeremiah Robinson would start when he returns? It feels like he's a long way off. I think he would probably get mixed in as a starter, but wouldn't be immediately, and he wouldn't play starters minutes. With a player such as Cam Johnson being considered back end, would you drop a player that is currently playing well but only has short-term upside like Kyle Anderson or Naz Reid to add Cam? It's a good question. I appreciate it, Mr. East. I'm just going to go back and check if there's any news here. No, nothing happening there. Yeah, I don't think Cam can push past top 90. But I also think that that's probably where Kyle Anderson's current value lies. I think Nas's is higher. Like if Gobert missed 3 weeks, Nas could be top 50. And I don't think Kyle can be that. So while Kyle Anderson's a solid 12-team league player, the value that he provides now is not that far off the value that Cam Johnson could even provide close to now or even in a week. So I would be okay with moving on for a guy like that, like Anderson, to get someone like Cam Johnson. Do I like cycling? Yeah, I've got I used to do a bit of road riding, not much, like very small amounts. And then I bought a Peloton and got into that, was doing it quite a bit to try and get some fitness up and lose weight. But then I was doing it pretty well, and then I caught COVID, and I couldn't exercise, and it killed my fitness. I was so out of it, and I didn't get back on the bike because of that, but also then I was swamped with work, and now I'm just really starting to carve time back out to get back on the bike. So I started again about 2 weeks ago, riding. So there you go. So do I like cycling? Yeah. What hotel did I stay in Paris? It was the Intercontinental, which was, there's a couple of Intercontinentals, the one opposite the Opera House. How did I train myself to stop using the word personally? Just embarrassment. Like, I just hear myself saying, don't say that again. And then it just sort of moved out of my vocab. I still will say it, but yeah, just there's no real trick to it, I don't think. In an 18-team league, is Achua better than Boucher? Yes, I believe so. Moses Brown has been upgraded to questionable. What does that mean? Okay, because he was apparently in the G League, but now he's questionable to play. Oh, yeah, because old mate Zubats is questionable. Questionable? Questionable. That's the right word. So they go, Moses Brown is now questionable. Do I still think Kessler will supplant Vanderbilt and not Olynyk? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Why would I not think that? Absolutely, I think he does. See those TVA posters in the back. What's my favorite Marvel movie? I don't know. Endgame, probably? No, maybe Infinity War? I don't know. But like, I'm not a person who really likes, like, oh, this is my favorite. Like, I just enjoy a lot of things in totality. Do I like watching Marvel things and TV shows and movies? Yes. Do I have a favorite that I'm going to, well, this is my favorite, I'm going to go back and watch it? Absolutely not. Like, I don't go, this is my favorite, so I'm going to rewatch it 10 times. It's like, what's the new thing that I'm going to watch? Or if I'm going to watch it, I'm going to rewatch everything. I like the idea of the story versus an individual. And that's the same with most things. What's your favorite song or what's your favorite TV show? It changes like every day. And I feel like if you don't have, like, if, I don't know, I don't want to get stuck on one thing. Do I do Supercoach? I don't do Supercoach or Dream Team, actually. Maybe I should do it this season. My son has never done it either. I reckon he'll probably get into it this season. So maybe then I'll join a league with him. Or do it with him. We can compare. But I haven't done it in years. Like since I was in high school, I reckon, when it first came out. Dream Team first came out like 30 years ago, whenever it was. Is there any reason why category leagues are the main leagues that fantasy analysts, wider public play? Surely points leagues are more fun. Well, that's the thing. They're not. They're not more fun. So that's why more people play category leagues. Simple as that. Also, category leagues are the original fantasy format when things started, and they are more fun. And so that's why. What's the most likely trade? Absolutely no idea. And if I told you I knew, I'd be lying. Anyone who tells you they know is lying. There's again, if you just try and focus so much on trades and what's happening in trades, you're going to make yourself a worse fantasy player. We could sit here and say, well, Miles Turner will get traded. We've said that for 4 years. John Collins is going to get traded. We've said it for 4 years. Jakob Poeltl's going to get traded. Like, is he? I don't know. Mason Plumlee gets traded. Yeah, it makes sense, but it just doesn't happen. These things are so unlikely to occur the way that you think they're going to occur or the way you've been told they're going to occur that it's a waste of your time and makes you a worse fantasy player. Am I taking Niners or Cowboys? Niners. How productive do I think Terrence Mann will be tonight? I feel he plays his best when there's one of the stars behind him. I don't feel that there's gigantic changes in Terrence Mann's value, whether players are in or players are out. He's not someone who's going to ramp up to 30 usage. It probably helps his minutes a bit that Leonard and George are both out. I think he's going to be pretty good tonight, and it probably gives him an extra like assist or two and maybe an extra 4 or 5 points. But it's not going to blow him up, I don't think. Hang on to Gabe in a 20-team league? Yes. Do my projections like Lowry or Trey Jones more rest of season? That's a good question. I'd have to have a look at that. It's really dependent because Lowry's last, say, 10 games has seen a massive dip in minutes, but also free throw attempt rate, which is quite concerning. I think that there was something wrong with his knee that was stopping him from attacking, and that really impacted him. I do have Jones ahead of Lowry, actually, but that could easily swing the other way. But I do have Jones ahead of him. If Zoo is out, are we rocking the Batum stream? Yeah, I think Covington becomes a streamer and Moses Brown becomes a streamer. All of those guys become options. Mate, hold your duck for Şengün. What does that mean? I don't know if you're trying to be funny. I don't know. I don't know what that means. It doesn't make any sense at all. Trevelyan Queen is active for anyone who cares. Go and update that. Who knows who Trevelyan Queen plays for? Plays for the Pacers, by the way. Should you take Lowry out of IR today or let him sit there because of minutes restriction? I don't think his minutes restriction is going to be that significant. I think he'll still play 30. I would be okay with taking him out. Do I think Kawhi played back-to-backs this season? Yes, I do, actually. When? I've got no idea. Do I think the Doggies are still in their premiership window? I do. Yes. Hurts to lose Dunkley, but McRae, Bontempelli, obviously still Smith, Norton, the younger guys coming through. Yeah, look, obviously, when our best players and 3 of our best players are still in their prime, then yes, I do. And then a couple are entering their prime, like Norton. Yes. It's not like our players are old. Like Tim English as well, entering his prime. Is Jokic the best fantasy player ever? I don't think so. Look back at Larry Bird, Hakeem, Michael Jordan. Those guys are probably the best ever, I'd say. But I don't know how you even judge that. How did I get into podcasting? I just started doing one. I just looked and self-hosted, self-published, did everything. I just literally just started and it found an audience. That's it. Nothing more simple than that. George is sitting tonight. Man should go off. Yeah, but Angela, if you look at the last couple of games, when George was out, it didn't actually make Man go off. It's not binary like that. What do I make of Van Gundy's recent comments about how there are actually more injuries and missed time despite players having performance coaches and players practicing less with more rest? I think that's a really simplistic way of looking at it, right? Are there more injuries? I think I saw someone do an analysis on it that there actually isn't, and that the average games missed is less than what it was over a 15-year period or whatever it was. That's not quite true. We feel like it is, because everyone loves, back in my day, and this never happened, but it actually did. And I wish I had that tweet of the person who had the data on it, and it wasn't true. But also, they've got all these coaches, and they sit out games, and they still get injured. That's all good. But again, the data did show that the injuries were less. But also the idea that the game is so much less physical. Physical doesn't mean you're getting whacked when you go to the rim. How many injuries actually occur through getting hit when you're going up? That's not how injuries occur. The majority of injuries aren't that. So yes, you're getting whacked less on an illegal screen. Right? That hurts. You don't get hurt from it. You don't get injured from it though. You lose a tooth, cool. You get a whack in a head. Also, back then, they didn't care about concussions at all. No care whatsoever. So those guys that got whacked in the head probably would have missed games if we knew more about the brain injuries they were suffering. But the second thing is the game is played faster. The game is played more spaced out. The efforts that people have to go to on each play is significantly higher. The more stop-start and explosive energy that is used in games is significantly higher than it was. So to say it's more physical is true in terms of more harder physical body contact one-on-one, but that's not what causes injuries. The game now is significantly more physical than it was in the 80s and 90s because of the way the game is played, because of the way the game is defended, because of the pick and rolls, because of the switching, because of the explosive nature, the faster speed of everybody, the size of everybody being bigger. So to say the game was more physical is just not true. Is it more physical in terms of impact, like you're playing a football game? Sure. But is it more physically demanding on your body now? Absolutely 100% more physically demanding on your body now. It just is. And that's where that idea of physical meaning, someone throws a cheap shot at you when you're going up for the rim, meaning, does that make you get injured? No, it doesn't. That doesn't make you pull your hamstring or strain your calf or strain your groin or twist your ankle or any of that stuff. It doesn't change. It doesn't increase the likelihood of any of those things happening. So, while Van Gundy said that, I think there's so many inaccuracies in what he said there. And it just was a lot of, get off my lawn type of stuff. Oh, well, if they're going to lose coaches, why are they missing games? They're missing games because they're being smarter and they're not missing as many games as they were, and the game's very different. There you go. How's my son feel about Staley staying as head coach after the Chargers collapse? Well, after it happened, he's like, yeah, look, we're going to get rid of him. Let's get Sean Payton. Then he said, maybe all the players love him, so maybe not. But as long as we get rid of Lombardi, he's fine. And Jay Lombardi's fine, so he's okay with that. Players' careers extended by years as well. Exactly, Matthew. Isaiah Thomas tore his Achilles at, age 30? And then never played. Durant tore his Achilles at age 34, and he's an MVP at age 36, or whatever the ages are. It's very different. It's very different. So to come in and say, well, all these coaches and performance things, they don't do anything. It's a lie. It's a lie, or it's a it's a twisting of the facts, or it's deliberate ignorance, or it's accidental ignorance. It's not true. But we love piling on. Oh, they're so soft. Everyone's so soft. Back in my day, they'd play through it. Yeah, and then their career will be over. And then someone's going to say, yeah, but Jordan played 40 minutes a night when he was age 40. Okay, that's cool. It's one person. That's great. But we're not looking at one person who clearly was an outlier in the entire history of the NBA. Thanks. Can you explain why category leagues are more fun? All right. Let's talk about why they're more fun. It's just a lot more different ways that you can go about a team. A trade in a fantasy points league, 30 points versus 28 points. Why would you ever take a guy who's a 28-point player? But in a category league, they might be a guy who is a shot blocker and rebounder, and you're trading for an assists and threes player. And it's easily a win-win. It's impossible to have a win-win trade in a fantasy points league. It is literally impossible. You can't do it. There's only one way to build a team. And the only one way is who gets more fantasy points. That is the only way to build a team in a fantasy points league. I guess your definition of fun might change. Like your definition of fun is I don't have to pay much attention to it and I just add players, right? Without having to really think too much about it. That might be fun to you. But others, the fun is like, oh, there's extra complexity here and the reward for being successful at it is much greater. And you're getting involved in trades and making waiver moves that seem like they might be not the move that everyone would make, but it actually pays off. That's fun to people. Versus like, here is a single number diluted down. And that's it. But I brought up playing category leagues. I don't really enjoy playing points leagues as much. I find category leagues way more fun. And there you go. That's how I see it. Does Jalen Noel start if Anthony Edwards is absent? I think they'll start Rivers, but Noel will get pretty good value. Do I think Mark Jackson is a good coach? No, I think he's a terrible coach. Like an absolutely terrible coach. Order from best to worst. Casey, Silas, Carlisle, Thibodeau. Carlisle doesn't belong anywhere near that. Silas is the worst. The thing with Casey and Silas, great blokes, really good people. Coaching an NBA team, that's not for them. Silas, Casey, Thibodeau, Carlisle is the order there. Or best to worst. Sorry, best. Carlisle, Thibodeau. Carlisle the best. Thibodeau, Casey, Silas. Who'll be my guest? It's Kingy. He's back on tomorrow. How to get rid of Yanni. Why would you want to get rid of Yanni? It's the worst possible time to trade away Giannis. Do not do it. Please do not trade Giannis at this point. It is the worst time to do it. Is Kyle Lowry a drop with the coach's recent comments about playing time? No, it's not. He's not. I don't care what Spoelstra said. That was obviously, that was obvious. He's not going to come back and play 36 minutes a night straight away after having a knee issue. But he will play solid minutes. He might be a drop, but that doesn't make him turn into a drop. How sure am I that the passport man will play tomorrow? I'm not. Apparently, he's still listed question with his ankle problem. I'd say it's probably a 60-40 yes that he will play. All right. There's a lot happening in this chat today. I feel like I've had too much coffee as well. So that's not fun. All right. Is it time to drop Josh Hart? It's not, but it's not far away. I really want to see what happens with the minutes. If he's playing 29 minutes a night, then he's not a hold. And he has the last 3 games. I'm really worried about the direction that's going. Do I trade DJ? Who is DJ? And do you trade him? This is not not meaning to be like, I'm not trying to be rude here, but like this is like a very beginner type of question because that doesn't make any sense. Who's DJ? Don't know. Why would you trade them? Trading, you got to trade for a purpose. Like, what is the point of people love trading because they say, I did a trade. And that is a key way to lose a league. Because you do a trade because you want to do a trade. Not because it makes your team better, just because it's fun doing a trade. Like, do you trade him? Like, why? That's the number one question. Always ask yourself. If someone sends you a trade, if you're sending one out, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this trade? What is the point of it? And if you look down, deep down, you invest in your soul and say, because I want to be able to push accept trade, then that's not a good reason. You know what I mean? Do I think Dunkley can win the Brownlow? I don't think so. Because a lot of what he does is defensive stuff. He gets a lot of possessions, but he does so much defensive work. And that doesn't always get valued as much. Yeah, okay, so DJ was DeJounte Murray. Okay, never heard anyone call him that. So should you trade him? Why? Again, that's the question. Why? Why do you want to trade him? There's no glaring reason to trade him. Like, why do you want to trade him? Will Chicago move the skater boy on the deadline? 0.5% chance of that happening. Who would I like to see coach Houston, Charlotte, and Detroit? I'm not going to lie, Nitsa, and tell you that I know everything about assistant coaches. When assistant coaches get brought up into like final discussions on coaching positions, then I do more research into them. But I'm not going to go through every single assistant coach in the NBA and know who's going to be. And I can't because I'm not there. Out of guys who have got established experience, well, Quinn Snyder and Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson's the number one guy. And Snyder probably not as much on the rebuilding teams, but absolutely. Like, these are two guys who are sitting out there who should be coaching ahead of some of the other numbnuts that are out there coaching at the moment. So they're the two names that stand out. Assistants, I got no idea. Like, I didn't know shit about Will Hardy. He's been really good. All right? I knew about Steve Clifford. He's been not so good. So, yeah, it's very hard to know that. Do I think one pick'em per week is rubbish? You mean like a one waiver ad per week? Yeah, I do. I think that is rubbish. Will Silas get fired? Almost definitely not. At the end of the season? Probably. This season? No. I don't see that happening. Just checking if there's any more news come through. There is not. Do I have a medical background? Yes, I do. I was a pharmacist for 15 years. So, yes. Who's more must roster? I take Nas. Much higher upside than Kyle Anderson. Will the Bronco get power forward eligibility on Yahoo? I honestly couldn't tell you. Should he? Yes. Considering he starts every game at power forward, he absolutely should get power forward eligibility. But I have no idea how, A, Yahoo or ESPN does injury designations, or B, how they do positional eligibility. They never stick to the statements they put out as to the structure of why they do it or the conditions of why they do it. So I couldn't tell you. Will he? Don't know. Should he? 100% yes. It makes no sense that he doesn't, but a lot of why is Joel Embiid listed as a power forward? Why is Nikola Jokic power forward eligible? They never play the position. Yeah, there's no sense in that either. Am I a fan of The Last of Us? I've never played the game, nor did I watch the TV show. Is it good? Should I watch it? Do I know? You meant pick one game to lock in per week for a player. Yes, that is a terrible format. I hate that sleeper format. Best place for a beer in Melbourne? My joint. I don't really go out for just to drink beers. I just drink them at home. Do I think Nurse is killing the Raptors players? I don't think he's doing great by them, to be honest. I like Nurse as an actual coach and X's and O's and scheme, but the way he runs his rotation, I think it's dreadful. And that, one more question. What is Trey Murphy's ceiling? I think he can be a 2 or 3 season top 50 player, would be my guess. 2 to 3 seasons of top 50. I'm just checking. A whole bunch of news just dropped. I'm just checking if there's anything that we need to pay attention there. Not really. Adonis Haslam is playing, so there you go. But no other. Grizzly starters, Bane, Morant, Brooks, Jackson, Adams. So that is confirmed. So I'm just going to update that, and then I'm going to head out of here. So, guys, I hope you are enjoying the day, or I hope you enjoyed the show. Is that the same lineup last game for the Grizzlies? Yeah, no one was injured last game, so that's the same stuff. Same lineup as always for them. All right, and I'm going to be out of here. So I do thank you all again for being a part of the show. Hit thumbs up on the way out. It would be greatly appreciated. I will see you guys later. Bye.